Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming back to the Love and Betrayal channel. Today, I have a new and quite interesting story to share with you, The Man Who Took Everything. I stood at the altar, dressed in white, the dress heavy against my skin. Around me, guests whispered softly, smiles plastered on their faces, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath my calm exterior. The church was filled with elegant bouquets, the air thick with the fragrance of roses, lilies, and deceit. "Do you, Claire Mitchell, take Jonathan Pierce to be your lawfully wedded husband?" the priest asked solemnly. Jonathan stood before me, devastatingly handsome, his piercing blue eyes soft and tender, a gentle smile on his lips. His charm had always been undeniable, capable of sweeping anyone off their feet, including my sister. My heart clenched painfully at the thought. "I do," I answered, my voice unwavering, eyes locked onto his. Deep down, a voice screamed inside me, warning me of the danger I willingly walked into. Jonathan smiled broader, a look of genuine happiness crossing his face, a face I once adored but now despised with every fiber of my being. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, the cool metal sent chills through me. It was official. I had married Jonathan Pierce, the man I believed was responsible for my sister Emily's mysterious death. Emily had always been the bright star of our family, beautiful, kind-hearted, full of life. She brought joy wherever she went. When Jonathan appeared in her life, everything seemed perfect. Their romance blossomed quickly, and within months they were inseparable. Everyone envied their love, not knowing the darkness lurking beneath. Then one rainy evening, everything changed. Emily was found lifeless, her car overturned at the bottom of a ravine. Police concluded it was an accident, but I knew better. Emily was an excellent driver, cautious to a fault, and the car showed signs of sabotage that only I seemed to notice. My suspicions pointed directly to Jonathan, but without evidence, nobody listened. Determined to uncover the truth, I devised a dangerous plan: marry Jonathan, infiltrate his life, gain his trust, and expose him for who he truly was. At our reception, Jonathan held my hand gently, playing the perfect groom. Guests approached us, congratulating and wishing us happiness. Each congratulatory word felt like a needle piercing my skin, reminded me of my betrayal toward Emily's memory. "You're stunning, Claire," Jonathan whispered, leaning closer, his breath warm against my ear. "I can't believe you're finally mine." I forced a smile, turning my face toward him, masking my disdain. "And I can't believe how lucky I am," I responded softly, my voice carefully neutral. He smiled sweetly, squeezing my hand. "Emily would have been proud of us. She always said we'd make a great couple." I flinched inwardly, anger boiling beneath my composed facade. How dare he mention her name so casually, so cruelly? As the night wore on, I excused myself briefly, escaping to the restroom for a moment alone. I stared at my reflection, hardly recognizing the woman looking back at me. How far had I come? Was revenge worth the sacrifice? "Claire, are you all right?" A familiar voice interrupted my thoughts. I turned to see my best friend Sarah, concern etched across her face. "I'm fine," I assured her, quickly regaining composure. "Just overwhelmed." Sarah stepped closer, lowering her voice cautiously. "Are you sure about this? Jonathan, he might not be who you think he is." I met her gaze, sensing she knew more than she admitted. "Sarah, if you know something, tell me." She hesitated, glancing nervously around before continuing. "Emily confided in me shortly before she died. She said Jonathan was acting strangely, secretive. She even mentioned being afraid of him." My heart raced, validating my fears. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I didn't have proof," Sarah whispered desperately. "And after the accident, Jonathan was so devastated. I thought maybe Emily was just imagining things. But now, seeing you marry him, I'm worried, Claire." I reached out, gripping Sarah's arm firmly. "Help me find out what really happened. I won't stop until Jonathan pays for what he did." Sarah nodded solemnly, determination filling her eyes. "You're not alone in this. I'll help you." Returning to the reception, I found Jonathan waiting patiently, eyes scanning the crowd for me. He approached with a concerned smile. I was getting worried. "Just freshening up," I replied lightly. Jonathan took my hand gently, pulling me into a slow dance. As we moved gracefully across the floor, he whispered lovingly, "From now on, it's you and me against the world." The words sent a shiver down my spine, but I forced a gentle smile. "Forever," I echoed, knowing forever meant until I destroyed him. Later that evening, as we entered our lavish honeymoon suite, Jonathan moved toward the balcony, admiring the city lights below. I watched his silhouette, a sinister thought creeping into my mind. How easy would it be to push him off right now, ending it all. He turned suddenly, sensing my gaze. Come here, he beckoned softly, extending his hand toward me. I stepped closer, heart pounding wildly. Jonathan embraced me gently, his touch deceptively tender. You know, he whispered, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear, Emily always feared heights. My blood ran cold. His eyes narrowed slightly, a subtle darkness creeping into his expression. Such a tragedy, he continued quietly, voice dangerously calm. But we're stronger, aren't we? I swallowed hard, maintaining eye contact, forcing a composed smile. Yes, we are. Jonathan smiled again, the warmth returning instantly, as though the sinister edge never existed. Get some rest, Claire. We have a long journey ahead. As he stepped away, disappearing into the suite, I leaned against the balcony rail, gripping it tightly, overwhelmed by rage, fear, and determination. This was only the beginning. I had willingly married a monster, the man who had taken everything from me, and now I had nothing left to lose. The game had just begun, and only one of us would emerge alive. Sunlight pierced through the thin curtains of our honeymoon suite, casting long shadows that stretched across the marble floor. My eyes fluttered open, my mind immediately clouded by memories of the night before. Jonathan lay peacefully beside me, breathing softly, his expression serene and deceptively innocent. I watched him silently, bitterness pooling in my heart. How could someone so beautiful mask something so sinister? Carefully, I rose from the bed, wrapping myself in a silk robe. Quietly, I made my way toward Jonathan's belongings, my pulse quickening with each step. His phone lay charging on the bedside table. Casting another glance back to ensure he was asleep, I took it and swiftly moved to the bathroom. Closing the door softly behind me, my fingers trembled as I unlocked the device. Thankfully, Jonathan trusted me enough not to hide his passcode, a mistake that might cost him everything. Scrolling through his messages, anxiety twisted in my stomach. At first glance, everything appeared mundane, innocent, but my instincts told me there had to be more. My fingers tapped rapidly, navigating through apps, folders, emails until I found a hidden photo album, password protected. Heart hammering, I typed in Emily's birth date. A guess driven purely by instinct. It unlocked immediately. The album was filled with pictures of Emily, beautiful but unnervingly candid, taken without her knowledge. Photos of her at home, at work, even sleeping. My stomach churned violently, disgusted by Jonathan's twisted obsession. Claire? Jonathan's sleepy voice called from the bedroom, startling me. Quickly locking the phone, I took a calming breath, steadying my nerves. Just a minute. Emerging from the bathroom, I wore a forced smile. Jonathan watched me curiously, his eyes soft but probing. Is everything all right? Perfect, I lied smoothly, moving closer to him. Just excited for today. He smiled warmly, oblivious to my inner turmoil. I have something special planned. Trust me, you'll love it. Jonathan took me to a secluded vineyard outside the city, breathtakingly picturesque, romantic enough to fool anyone into believing our love story. But as he held my hand gently, leading me through rows of lush grapevines, my mind wandered back to those disturbing images. You seem distracted, Jonathan noted softly, guiding me toward a private gazebo prepared just for us. I'm still processing everything, I responded carefully. You, me, Emily. It's overwhelming sometimes. Jonathan paused, turning me to face him. Emily would want you to be happy, Claire. We both lost someone precious. Together we can heal. His voice sounded sincere, but the darkness behind his eyes remained unmistakable. I forced myself to nod, leaning into his embrace, playing the part of the loving wife while inside. Hatred burned hotter than ever. That evening, back at the hotel, I waited until Jonathan stepped into the shower before sneaking another glance at his phone. The messages now buzzed frantically, a new text arriving from an unknown number. Did she find out yet? A chill ran down my spine. My fingers shook as I replied quickly, posing as Jonathan. Not yet. What should I do? Almost instantly, another message appeared. Stick to the plan. We can't risk losing everything. Suddenly, the sound of the shower ceased. Panic surged through me as I quickly deleted my responses, placing the phone exactly as I'd found it. Jonathan emerged moments later, a towel wrapped loosely around his waist. You look pale, he remarked suspiciously. Just tired, I murmured, feigning innocence. He approached slowly, his gaze penetrating. Claire, is there something you want to tell me? My heart raced, adrenaline pumping through my veins. No, why do you ask? He smiled again, an eerie, knowing expression flickering briefly across his features. Just making sure that secrets can be dangerous, you know. Later that night, lying awake beside him, my mind replayed his ominous words. Secrets indeed. Jonathan had plenty, and I was determined to uncover them all, no matter the cost. I drifted into uneasy sleep, haunted by dreams of Emily calling to me, her voice desperate, warning me about the danger I faced. Just as her words became clear, I jolted awake. Beside me, Jonathan's side of the bed lay empty, sheets still warm. Distant voices echoed faintly from outside the room. Curiosity overcoming fear, I crept silently to the door, pressing my ear against the wood. "She's getting suspicious," Jonathan whispered harshly. "We need to move faster. And if she finds out?" Another voice asked sharply, deep and unfamiliar. "Then we deal with her, just like Emily," Jonathan replied coldly. My blood froze. Everything I'd feared was true. Jonathan had taken my sister's life, and now he planned to silence me too. Backing away slowly, I realized I had underestimated the depth of Jonathan's darkness. It wasn't merely revenge now, it was survival. If I wanted justice for Emily and to make it out alive, I needed to outsmart Jonathan at his own deadly game. My eyes narrowed in determination. Jonathan Pierce thought he held all the cards, but he'd soon learn just how dangerous I could become. The days following my horrifying discovery became a blur of paranoia and sleepless nights. Every smile Jonathan flashed, every gentle touch of his hand felt sinister. I no longer questioned whether he had taken Emily's life. I knew it now. My mission shifted from mere suspicion to cold, hard proof, but I also needed allies, and quickly. One evening, Jonathan announced he had a late business meeting, kissing me softly before disappearing out the door. Alone in our spacious, luxurious home, I paced restlessly, my mind racing. My phone buzzed suddenly, startling me. I glanced down, recognizing Sarah's name instantly. "We need to talk," I responded immediately. "Come over now." Within 20 minutes, Sarah arrived, her eyes wide with urgency as I ushered her inside. "Claire, something isn't right," she said breathlessly. "I found something you need to see." Sarah pulled a thick folder from her bag, spreading its contents across my dining room table. Newspaper clippings, printed emails, photographs, all meticulously gathered. "What's this?" My voice trembled as I reached for the photos, heart sinking at the familiar images. They were surveillance shots. Jonathan meeting secretly with someone whose face was deliberately obscured. "Jonathan's been lying to you," Sarah said grimly. "He never had any business trips. He's been meeting the same person regularly." I squinted closer, heart pounding. "Who is this?" "I don't know yet," Sarah admitted. "But whoever they are, Jonathan trusts them implicitly. I followed him yesterday, and he met with this person again. They argued about something intense." I felt nauseous, the gravity of the betrayal suffocating me. "We have to find out who this is. It could be our key to exposing Jonathan." "There's more," Sarah whispered, sliding an envelope toward me. "These are bank statements from Emily's account, withdrawals Jonathan made shortly before her death. Large amounts transferred to an offshore account." Anger surged inside me, confirming Jonathan's motives ran deeper than I'd imagined. Greed had played a part, possibly alongside obsession. "He's dangerous," Sarah said cautiously. "We can't underestimate him. We need someone who can help us dig deeper without raising suspicion." "Who can we trust?" I whispered desperately. Sarah hesitated, taking a deep breath before continuing. "I know someone, but it's complicated." "Who?" I demanded urgently. "Detective Liam Carter. He investigated Emily's accident initially, but got reassigned abruptly. Rumor was he was uncovering something higher-ups didn't want revealed." Hope flickered within me. "Can we trust him?" "He was devastated by Emily's death," Sarah explained gently. "They had history, brief but meaningful." Shock rattled me. "Emily and Liam?" "They dated secretly before Jonathan," Sarah confessed. "Liam never believed her death was accidental. He's been quietly collecting evidence since." A fierce determination ignited within me. "Arrange a meeting with him, now." 2 days later, in a quiet cafe tucked away from prying eyes, Sarah and I waited anxiously until a tall, rugged man entered, his eyes sharp and cautious as they scanned the room. His presence was commanding yet comforting, exuding a quiet strength. He approached our table, nodding briefly. "Claire Mitchell?" I stood, shaking his hand firmly. "Detective Carter, thank you for meeting us." He nodded, solemnly, his expression grave. "I've been waiting for this conversation for a long time. I knew eventually you'd realize who Jonathan really was." "Then you have proof?" I asked breathlessly. "Not enough yet," Liam admitted. "But I'm close. Jonathan's careful, but his accomplice is getting sloppy." "Accomplice?" I echoed, feeling a chill. "Who is it?" "That's the million-dollar question," Liam sighed. Whoever it is, they're deeply involved. Jonathan might have executed the plan, but this other person orchestrated everything. Why would someone else target Emily? I demanded, frustration gnawing at my composure. Because she uncovered something she shouldn't have, Liam revealed quietly. Emily was smart, too smart. She found connections linking Jonathan's business to corruption, fraud, and worse. She was planning to expose everything. And Jonathan silenced her, Sarah said bitterly. Exactly, Liam confirmed grimly. But we have an advantage. Jonathan doesn't realize we're on to his partner. He thinks he's safe as long as no one knows that person's identity. Then we have to uncover it first, I said resolutely. We have no choice. Liam nodded firmly, eyes locking onto mine. You understand the risk. If Jonathan suspects, he'll stop at nothing to protect himself. I'm already living in danger, I said fiercely, leaning forward with determination. He took everything from me. I refuse to let him get away with it. Liam smiled faintly, respect shimmering in his gaze. Then let's make a plan. As we left the cafe, I felt an odd mix of fear and hope. Liam's involvement meant we were stepping deeper into danger, but finally, I wasn't alone. Returning home that evening, I found Jonathan waiting, his eyes studying me suspiciously. Where were you? He asked casually. Just coffee with Sarah, I responded calmly, meeting his gaze head on. Girl talk. He nodded slowly, a shadow passing over his face. Be careful who you trust, Claire. Not everyone has good intentions. I smiled coldly, hiding my true emotions. Believe me, Jonathan, I know that now more than ever. He paused, eyes then Timmy narrowing, sensing something deeper beneath my words. You're hiding something. No more than you are, I replied evenly, heart pounding. Jonathan smiled softly, leaning closer until his lips brushed my ear. Remember what happened to Emily. Secrets can kill. As he stepped away, leaving me shaking slightly, my resolve hardened further. Jonathan had made a mistake, underestimating me. And now, armed with dangerous allies and a fierce determination for justice, I would ensure it was the last mistake he'd ever make. Sleepless nights became my new normal. Shadows danced mockingly on the walls of our bedroom, whispers of Emily's voice haunting my restless dreams. Jonathan remained calm, unsuspecting, moving through his daily routines as if our lives weren't built on deceit. The plan I had meticulously devised with Detective Liam Carter and Sarah required patience. Every move deliberate, calculated to avoid suspicion. But patience was growing thin, especially when each glance from Jonathan felt sharper, each smile colder. One afternoon, Jonathan returned home early, his expression dark and unreadable. We need to talk, Claire. My pulse quickened instantly, yet I maintained a composed exterior. Of course, what's wrong? Jonathan led me into his study, closing the door with an unsettling finality. He sat behind his polished mahogany desk, his gaze steady and chilling. I received an interesting call today, he began coolly, tapping a finger on the table. Someone told me you've been meeting with Detective Carter. Fear surged through me, yet I forced myself to remain calm. I don't know what you're talking about. Jonathan's eyes flashed dangerously. Don't insult my intelligence, Claire. You've been lying to me. Lying? I countered, my voice sharp. That's ironic coming from you. Jonathan smirked coldly. Careful. You wouldn't want to end up like your sister. The threat hung heavily in the air, confirming everything I already knew. Yet, hearing it directly from him ignited a rage I'd never experienced before. Did you kill Emily? I demanded, my voice shaking with fury and heartbreak. Jonathan leaned back casually, his eyes mocking me openly now. Emily made choices that led to consequences. I simply ensured those consequences happened. Why? I asked, desperate for answers, my voice breaking slightly. She threatened everything I built, Jonathan responded coldly. My business, my future, everything. And the money you stole? I challenged fiercely. Was that worth her life? Jonathan shrugged callously. Emily was naive, just like you. Anger surged violently through my veins, but I knew I had to remain composed. This confrontation could be my only chance to glean the truth. You had help, I pressed, forcing a calm tone despite my racing heart. Who else is involved? Jonathan's smile twisted darkly. You'll find out soon enough, maybe even tonight. Before I could respond, the doorbell rang sharply, breaking the suffocating tension between us. Jonathan rose smoothly, his confidence unshaken. Speak of the devil. I followed anxiously, dread pooling heavily in my stomach. Jonathan opened the front door, revealing someone whose presence instantly shattered me. Sarah? I gasped, confusion and betrayal crashing over me simultaneously. Sarah stepped inside confidently, her expression utterly cold, unrecognizable from the woman I'd considered my closest friend. "Hello, Claire," Sarah said coolly, moving to stand beside Jonathan. "Surprised?" "You?" I whispered. I whispered, disbelief choking my voice. "You are the one working with Jonathan?" "Don't look so shocked," Sarah replied calmly. "You always underestimated me. Everyone did, even Emily." My mind spun chaotically, struggling to grasp her betrayal. "You were my best friend. Emily trusted you." "Emily was weak," Sarah snapped viciously. "She had everything handed to her. Success, beauty, Jonathan. You were jealous," I realized, horrified. "You planned all of this?" "Sarah approached me first," Jonathan confessed, watching my reaction closely. "She provided the perfect solution to Emily's threats. Emily never deserved him." Sarah sneered, eyes cold. "But after she died, you stepped right into her place, just as pathetic and oblivious." My fists clenched tightly, rage and pain warring within me. "You both disgust me." Sarah smiled bitterly. "It doesn't matter now. You won't be around long enough to cause trouble." Jonathan moved swiftly, gripping my arm tightly, pulling me toward the cellar door. Panic surged through me as I struggled fiercely against his hold. "You won't get away with this," I screamed desperately, fear slicing through my bravado. "We already have," Jonathan replied calmly, eyes coldly indifferent. The cellar door swung open, revealing a dark staircase descending into shadows. My heart pounded wildly, terror clawing at my throat as I struggled futilely. "You underestimated me," I whispered fiercely, defiant to the end. "You'll both pay for this." Jonathan laughed coldly, cruelly amused. "Goodbye, Claire." Suddenly, the front door crashed open violently, startling everyone. Detective Liam Carter stormed inside, gun drawn and voice commanding. "Freeze! Police!" Jonathan's grip loosened slightly, allowing me to wrench myself free, stumbling toward Liam's protective embrace. "Drop your weapon," Liam ordered harshly, eyes locked onto Jonathan and Sarah, who exchanged panicked glances. Sarah lunged desperately, attempting to flee, but officers flooded into the room, swiftly apprehending her. Jonathan stood motionless, his eyes never leaving mine, fury blazing dangerously. "This isn't over, Claire." "It's over for you," I spat back bitterly. "Justice for Emily starts now." As officers dragged Jonathan and Sarah away, Liam guided me safely outside, his expression filled with relief and concern. "Are you all right?" he asked softly. "I will be," I replied quietly, watching the criminals who had shattered my world disappear into custody. Liam's gaze softened sympathetically. "Emily would be proud of you." His words brought tears to my eyes. Though the pain remained raw, the weight of betrayal felt lighter now, replaced by a fragile sense of justice. But as Liam gently led me away, Jonathan's final chilling words echoed hauntingly in my mind. This wasn't the end. Somehow, I knew our nightmare was far from over. In the aftermath of Jonathan and Sarah's arrest, a sense of uneasy peace settled over my life. Days turned into weeks, the emotional wounds barely healing, each passing moment a painful reminder of betrayal. Despite Jonathan's incarceration, fear lingered persistently as if shadows were forever watching. Detective Liam Carter checked on me frequently, offering support and reassurance. He had become my anchor in a turbulent storm, the only person I truly trusted anymore. One rainy afternoon, Liam arrived at my home, expression grim, a thick file clutched tightly in his hands. "Claire, we need to talk," he began solemnly, voice heavy with tension. My stomach clenched anxiously. "What's wrong?" He spread several photos across the table, revealing gruesome crime scenes. "Jonathan's accomplices, they're systematically eliminating witnesses. We suspect someone inside the prison system is helping Jonathan." My blood ran cold. "You mean they're coming after me next?" Liam nodded gravely. "You're their ultimate target. Jonathan blames you for everything." I swallowed hard, anger flaring alongside my fear. "What do I do now? We need you in protective custody," Liam urged urgently. "It's the only way we can keep you safe." "No," I said firmly, determination strengthening my resolve. "I won't run anymore." "Claire," Liam argued gently, frustration evident. "These people are ruthless." "Exactly why they need to be stopped," I countered passionately. "Jonathan destroyed my family. He won't take anything else from me." Liam sighed heavily, realizing he couldn't sway me. "Then let me protect you, personally." Gratitude filled my heart, touched by his sincerity. "Thank you, Liam." As the days passed, Liam rarely left my side, maintaining vigilant watch, tirelessly investigating every lead. Our bond strengthened, forged through shared grief and fierce determination. Late one night, a sudden noise jolted us awake. Liam sprang from the couch, weapon drawn immediately, tension radiating from him. Stay here, he whispered sharply, moving cautiously toward the sound. Heart hammering, I reached for my phone, hands trembling, but before I could dial emergency services, a hand clamped brutally over my mouth, cutting off my scream. Quiet, Claire, a familiar voice hissed menacingly. Sarah. She dragged me roughly toward the kitchen, eyes wild and desperate. You ruined everything. Jonathan and I had a plan, a perfect life, and you destroyed it. I struggled fiercely, terror pumping adrenaline through me. You betrayed me. You always thought you were better than me, Sarah snarled venomously. But now I'm going to end this permanently. She brandished a knife, its blade gleaming ominously under the dim light. Panic surged uncontrollably through me, yet beneath the terror burned defiance. It won't change anything, I whispered fiercely. You'll always be second best. Sarah lunged forward violently, rage distorting her face. I dodged narrowly, adrenaline enhancing my reflexes, desperately searching for an advantage. Claire, Liam shouted suddenly, racing into the kitchen, gun aimed steadily. Drop the weapon, Sarah. Sarah hesitated briefly, eyes darting wildly. Calculating her odds, a dark, reckless resolve filled her gaze. I have nothing left to lose, she whispered bitterly, turning the knife toward herself. Sarah, no, I screamed instinctively, lunging forward, desperation outweighing reason. Chaos erupted simultaneously. Sarah plunged the knife downward, Liam fired a decisive shot, and I collided heavily with her falling body, hitting the floor hard. For a moment, silence reigned, broken only by our ragged breathing. Sarah lay motionless, the knife clattering uselessly beside her. Liam rushed to my side, and panic etched deeply into his features. Claire, are you hurt? He demanded urgently, searching me frantically for injuries. I'm fine, I gasped shakily, struggling to regain composure. Sarah? He glanced solemnly toward her still form, sighing heavily. It's over. Tears filled my eyes, sorrow mingling with relief. Sarah had once been my closest confidant, her betrayal leaving permanent scars on my soul. Now she, too, had paid the ultimate price for vengeance. As emergency responders flooded the scene, reality crashed harshly upon me. Jonathan's destructive influence reached far beyond prison bars. His obsession, greed, and hatred had tainted everything and everyone around him. Hours later, safely away from the chaos, Liam held my trembling hands gently. You can't stay here anymore, Claire. It's too dangerous. I nodded slowly, finally acknowledging the gravity of my situation. Where can I possibly go? Somewhere far, Liam suggested carefully, voice filled with compassion. Where Jonathan and his allies can't touch you. My heart clenched painfully. Running felt cowardly, but I knew Liam was right. I needed distance to heal, rebuild, and finally reclaim my life. Come with me, I whispered impulsively, eyes pleading desperately. Please, Liam, I can't do this alone. He hesitated briefly, weighing his responsibilities against personal desires. Finally, Liam smiled softly, decision evident in his tender gaze. I'll go wherever you need me, he promised quietly, sincerity shining in his eyes. You're not alone, Claire. Relief and gratitude flooded through me, overwhelming yet comforting. Together, Liam and I would forge a new path, free from the shadows haunting our past. Yet even as we prepared to leave everything behind, an uneasy feeling lingered persistently, a chilling reminder that vengeance always came at a steep price. And Jonathan Pierce, my sister's killer, would ensure that price was paid in full. Months passed, blurring together as Liam and I carefully built new lives far from the city, deep within a quiet coastal town. Under assumed identities, we settled into a modest cottage overlooking a calm, endless ocean, a perfect place to disappear and start over. I dyed my hair darker, cutting it shorter, changing nearly every aspect of my appearance to avoid recognition. Liam, now known simply as Michael, became my anchor, his steady presence offering a sense of safety and stability I desperately needed. Yet even amidst peaceful isolation, memories of Emily haunted my dreams, reminding me vengeance never fully heals grief. Our routine felt safe yet tenuous, overshadowed constantly by the threat of Jonathan's retribution. Liam continued quietly investigating any signs of danger, his vigilance unwavering. One chilly morning while strolling through the local market, a familiar face caught my attention, sending icy dread cascading down my spine. Standing across the bustling street, observing me intently, was a figure from our past, one of Jonathan's associates, a man whose cruel gaze instantly triggered buried trauma. Heart hammering wildly, I quickly retreated, hurrying home to Liam, panic gripping me. Liam, they found us, I gasped breathlessly, slamming the cottage door behind me. He immediately sprang into protective mode, calm determination masking his concern. Who did you see? Jonathan's henchman, I whispered, voice trembling uncontrollably. He recognized me. Liam's jaw tightened visibly, tension radiating from him. We have to leave now. Packing hastily, fear saturating our actions, we moved swiftly toward our vehicle parked discreetly behind the cottage. But as we approached, the tires lay slashed, rendering escape impossible. Claire, Liam murmured urgently, drawing his weapon instinctively, scanning the surrounding woods warily. Stay close. We edged cautiously toward a small shed behind the cottage, seeking temporary cover. Shadows shifted ominously around us, every rustle of leaves heightening my terror. It's futile, Claire, a chillingly familiar voice called mockingly from the darkness. Jonathan sends his regards. My pulse quickened violently. What does he want from me? I shouted desperately. The figure stepped forward into view, eyes cold and unforgiving. Jonathan never forgets betrayal. You cost him everything. Now he'll repay the favor. Liam moved protectively in front of me, gun steady, voice commanding. Let us go. It doesn't have to end like this. The man laughed coldly, eyes gleaming menacingly. Oh, yeah, but it does. You made your choice. Now live with the consequences. Suddenly, more shadows emerged, men loyal to Jonathan closing in relentlessly. Panic surged uncontrollably within me. Run, Claire! Liam shouted desperately, firing a warning shot to scatter our attackers. Chaos erupted instantly, gunfire echoing harshly through the peaceful silence, blinding terror propelling me forward, Liam closely shielding me. Breath ragged, adrenaline surging, we raced toward dense woods nearby, seeking any form of refuge. Finally hidden among thick undergrowth, silence returned briefly, broken only by our ragged breathing. We can't keep running, I whispered shakily, tears filling my eyes. Liam gripped my shoulders gently but firmly, eyes fiercely determined. We have to fight back, Claire. We end this now. His courage ignited a spark deep within me, reminding me of my promise, justice for Emily. How? I asked breathlessly, desperation mixing with newfound resolve. We have to return, Liam said grimly. Face Jonathan once and for all. I hesitated briefly, fear battling courage within me. Finally, determination hardened my resolve. Together, I whispered firmly, locking eyes with him. No more hiding. We returned cautiously toward our compromised cottage, expecting confrontation at any moment. Instead, the attackers had vanished, leaving behind a single, ominous message scrawled hastily across our door. See you soon, Claire. I shivered violently, yet beneath fear lay a steely resolve. Jonathan had underestimated my strength and determination once again. This time vengeance would truly be mine. Days later, Liam and I arrived back in the city we'd fled, cautiously infiltrating our former lives, searching desperately for Jonathan's location. Hidden contacts Liam trusted offered valuable intel. Jonathan had orchestrated everything from within prison walls, protected by corrupt guards. Determined, Liam arranged secretly to meet an informant, hoping to gain actionable proof. Anxiety twisted painfully within me as we waited in a secluded parking garage, shadows closing in around us. Be ready, Liam warned quietly, eyes alert, scanning vigilantly. The informant arrived nervously, glancing anxiously around before approaching swiftly. Jonathan's planning something big, the informant whispered urgently. He'll be transferred tomorrow, then he'll escape custody. Dread flooded my veins instantly, horror gripping me fiercely. We can't let that happen. He's bribed guards, the informant explained quickly. Once he's out, he's coming directly for you. Liam nodded sharply, gratitude evident. We'll stop him. As the informant vanished swiftly back into darkness, determination and fear warred within me. Jonathan's escape meant imminent danger, yet also provided the perfect opportunity. We have to intercept him, I said resolutely, surprising even myself with my courage. Liam hesitated, concern evident. Claire, it's dangerous. This ends now, I interrupted passionately. Jonathan won't stop until one of us is gone. Let it be him. Liam studied me briefly, admiration and resolve flickering within his gaze. Finally, he nodded grimly, committed fully. We'll confront Jonathan tomorrow, Liam promised quietly. Together, we'll end his reign of terror permanently. That night, sleepless anticipation filled our temporary refuge. Fear mingled with fierce determination. I knew what lay ahead would define my future forever. Jonathan Pierce believed vengeance was his alone, but he'd soon discover the true price of betrayal. The day Jonathan was scheduled for transfer dawned gray and oppressive, reflecting the turmoil within me. Rain poured relentlessly, masking our approach as Liam and I positioned ourselves strategically near the isolated route leading from the prison. We waited anxiously, concealed behind dense foliage, tension humming like electricity between us. My pulse hammered erratically, nerves raw, as thoughts of Emily fueled my resolve. I glanced toward Liam, whose steady presence provided crucial reassurance. "Stay sharp," he whispered gently, sensing my anxiety. "We'll get justice today." Minutes stretched agonizingly, each second amplifying dread, until finally headlights pierced through the downpour. My heart quickened violently as the prison transport vehicle appeared, slowing unexpectedly before halting completely on the deserted roadway. "It's happening," Liam murmured urgently, "and stay behind me." Corrupt guards emerged swiftly, assisting a familiar figure, Jonathan Pierce, his cold eyes gleaming maliciously despite heavy restraints. "You took your time," Jonathan sneered mockingly at the guards, arrogance undiminished. Anger surged fiercely within me, tempered only by Liam's calming presence. Carefully, we moved closer, weapons drawn defensively. "Freeze," Liam shouted decisively, stepping from cover confidently. "No one moves." Jonathan's gaze snapped sharply toward us, genuine shock briefly crossing his face before arrogance returned swiftly. "Well, well," Jonathan taunted cruelly, "my devoted wife and her loyal protector, how touching." "It ends here, Jonathan," I declared fiercely, voice steady despite internal trembling. Jonathan laughed coldly, eyes venomous. "Emily begged too, Claire. Didn't help her much." Fury surged uncontrollably, grief strengthening my resolve further. "You won't hurt anyone else. And who's going to stop me?" Jonathan challenged menacingly, nodding subtly toward his bribed guards. Instantly, chaos erupted. Guards lunged aggressively, forcing Liam into immediate defensive action. Shots echoed sharply, confusion raining briefly. Heart pounding wildly, I confronted Jonathan directly, our eyes locked in mutual hatred. "You destroyed everything," I hissed bitterly, pain and fury mingling. "No, Claire," Jonathan replied calmly, chillingly composed despite surrounding violence. "You did, by challenging me." Without warning, Jonathan lunged unexpectedly, his shackled wrists brutally striking me. I stumbled backward, momentarily stunned. Regaining focus swiftly, survival instincts propelled my actions, and I fought desperately against his vicious strength. "Claire," Liam shouted frantically, embroiled in his own fierce battle. "Hold on!" Jonathan's eyes glittered mercilessly, sensing weakness, lunging again ferociously. Memories of Emily's lifeless body surged vividly, fueling my desperation and resolve. With newfound strength, I retaliated fiercely, landing a decisive blow that momentarily staggered Jonathan. "Enough!" I screamed defiantly, voice echoing powerfully through the storm. Surprise flashed briefly across Jonathan's face, replaced swiftly by rage. "You think you can beat me?" "I already have," I declared fiercely, standing my ground unwaveringly. "Emily's memory gives me strength you'll never understand." Jonathan hesitated briefly, genuine confusion clouding his expression momentarily. Seizing advantage, Liam finally subdued the remaining guards, quickly coming to my aid. "It's over, Jonathan," Liam stated firmly, weapon aimed decisively. Jonathan's gaze darkened menacingly, desperation flickering dangerously. "If I go down, Claire, you're coming with me." Suddenly, Jonathan lunged toward me recklessly, attempting to force us both into deadly traffic. Liam reacted instantly, firing a single precise shot. Jonathan fell heavily, immobilized but conscious, breathing ragged. I stood frozen momentarily, emotions overwhelming as Liam gently embraced me reassuringly. "It's done," Liam whispered soothingly, holding me protectively. Jonathan laughed bitterly, pain evident yet defiant. "You haven't won. You'll never escape what you've become." Approaching slowly, I knelt beside Jonathan, meeting his malicious gaze firmly. "You made me this," I stated evenly, voice trembling with restrained emotion. "But you won't control me anymore." Jonathan's eyes narrowed dangerously, hatred blazing fiercely. "You'll never escape me, Claire." "Maybe not," I replied calmly, rising confidently, "but neither will you." Police sirens wailed faintly, growing louder rapidly. Jonathan's expression darkened bitterly, realizing his defeat was imminent. "Emily's justice is finally served," I whispered quietly, relief mingling painfully with grief. Jonathan glared venomously, words dripping malice. "She'll always haunt you." I met his gaze unflinchingly, strength derived from closure, though bittersweet. "Maybe, but her memory will empower me, not imprison me." Jonathan's eyes finally lost their dangerous edge, replaced with silent resignation as officers surrounded us, securing him swiftly. Liam held me closely, compassion and admiration clear. You did it, Claire. Emily's finally at peace. Tears welled gently, gratitude overwhelming, yet healing. Jonathan's reign of terror had ended, yet scars remained, visible reminders of love, loss, and vengeance's heavy toll. Days later, as Jonathan faced life imprisonment without parole, Liam and I visited Emily's grave. Peaceful silence surrounded us, grief softened gently by justice and closure. Rest easy, Emily, I whispered softly, emotion filling my voice. It's over. Yet deep within, Jonathan's final words lingered uneasily. Had I truly escaped his destructive influence, or would shadows always haunt my soul? As Liam gently guided me away, I knew answers would only emerge with time. For now, Emily's vengeance was complete, but my own healing journey had only just begun. Time passed quietly, each day bringing subtle healing as Liam and I settled into a life of tranquil anonymity far from shadows of our past. We chose a quaint town nestled among rolling hills, a place untouched by the chaos we'd endured. Jonathan Pierce had finally received justice, confined permanently behind bars without possibility of parole. Yet closure proved elusive, ghosts lingered stubbornly, manifesting through nightmares and fleeting anxieties. Therapy became my refuge, offering guidance as I navigated complex emotions, grief, guilt, anger, and ultimately acceptance. Liam stood unwaveringly beside me, providing constant support as my healing journey unfolded slowly. One bright afternoon, Liam and I strolled leisurely along a winding path near our new home, leaves rustling gently beneath our feet. Claire, Liam began softly, pausing thoughtfully, eyes tender. Have you thought about what's next, for us? My heart fluttered gently, warmth spreading slowly through me. Honestly, I wasn't sure I deserved to think that far ahead. Liam took my hands carefully, sincerity radiating from him. You deserve happiness, Claire, more than anyone I've known. Emotion tightened my throat, eyes stinging slightly. Do you truly believe we can find that? Together, Liam affirmed confidently, voice steady and reassuring. As long as we're together, anything is possible. Hope blossomed gently, fragile yet determined. Then let's build something new, something beautiful. Months turned into a year, our lives blossoming quietly yet profoundly. Liam and I married privately, surrounded only by the tranquil beauty of nature, promises exchanged beneath endless skies. Our vows symbolized more than mere commitment. They represented healing, renewal, and redemption. We established a modest community center dedicated to supporting survivors of trauma and abuse, channeling our experiences into helping others reclaim their lives. Sharing Emily's story inspired many, offering hope to those lost amidst darkness. Yet, despite meaningful progress, restless nights occasionally returned, remnants of past traumas reminding me healing never truly ends. It merely evolves. On the second anniversary of Jonathan's imprisonment, I received an unexpected letter. The handwriting instantly familiar, fear briefly surged. Carefully opening it, my pulse quickened anxiously as I read Jonathan's words. Claire, I've spent endless days thinking about my actions, the pain I've caused. You deserve the truth. Though I doubt forgiveness is possible, perhaps understanding can help you find peace. I destroyed lives through my obsession and greed, blinded by pride. But now, isolated and humbled, I see clearly how empty vengeance truly is. May you find the happiness stolen from you. I'm sorry for everything. My hands trembled slightly, complex emotions swirling chaotically within me. Liam approached quietly, noticing my turmoil instantly. Are you all right? He asked, he asked gently. Silently handing him the letter, I struggled internally. Jonathan's words echoed relentlessly, sincerity surprisingly evident despite skepticism. Can people truly change? I whispered uncertainly. Liam sighed gently, understanding my confusion. Maybe, but forgiveness isn't for Jonathan, it's for you. His words resonated deeply, offering profound insight. Forgiveness meant releasing burdens, reclaiming personal freedom, regardless of Jonathan's sincerity. Weeks later, standing alone before Emily's peaceful grave, I finally released lingering resentment and allowing forgiveness, however difficult, to take root within me. I forgive you, Jonathan, I whispered softly, voice carrying away pain on gentle breezes. Not for your sake, but mine. Returning home, lighter than I'd felt in years, Liam welcomed me warmly, sensing immediate change. Are you ready to move forward completely? He asked gently, hopeful yet cautious. I smiled genuinely, heart finally unburdened fully. Absolutely. Months passed joyfully, Liam and I embracing newfound clarity fully. Soon a profound happiness arrived. Our daughter, Emily Grace Carter, her arrival symbolic of new beginnings, healing, and unbreakable bonds. Holding Emily gently, love surged and fiercely. I felt Emily's presence strongly, peace washing gently over me. She's beautiful, Liam whispered tenderly, awe evident. She embodies everything we fought for, I replied softly, emotion overwhelming yet comforting. Years later, as Emily grew surrounded by warmth and unconditional love, our family found lasting joy, continually honoring Emily's memory by cherishing life's precious moments. Our community thrived, healing rippling gently outward, transforming tragedy into powerful purpose. Though shadows occasionally revisited, resilience defined our lives now, empowered by shared experiences. One serene evening, Liam and I watched the sun gently setting, colors vibrant and breathtaking. Did you ever imagine life like this? Liam asked softly, contentment evident. Never, I admitted honestly, gratitude immense. But I wouldn't trade this journey, not even painful moments. Liam smiled warmly, squeezing my hand reassuringly. Because they brought us here. I nodded, emotion swelling deeply. Exactly. Quietly embracing, we watched daylight gently fade, twilight usher in peacefulness. Past pain never vanished fully, yet its weight softened gradually, replaced by resilience, purpose, and unshakable love. Emily's tragic fate had shaped my life profoundly, but now defined positively through compassion, strength, and redemption. Though Jonathan Pierce had shattered everything once, he inadvertently forged a woman stronger, wiser, and ultimately empowered by survival. Together, Liam and I reclaimed our lives, proving vengeance ultimately surrendered peacefully to love's transformative power. True redemption. As night enveloped us gently, stars twinkled softly overhead, infinite possibilities stretching endlessly, our story continuing beautifully, defined forever by hope, forgiveness, and new beginnings.